Raider Nation, if you want to see more effort from this team after just a lousy Week 5 performance up against the Bears, I want you to go ahead and like this video right now. Maybe somebody needs to tell Gruden and the rest of that team that wearing the shield, wearing the silver and black is a privilege. And if you don't start playing better, then guess what? Some guys, they got to get the hell out of here. So if you want to see more of a team effort going forward, like this video right now. No matter the location, from OAKLA to LV, I'm a Raider. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, I have 4 overreactions after a horrible performance. And you know what? I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for Manscaped. The Raiders, they played like balls this past week up against the Bears. And to make sure your balls don't look like a horror film out of a Freddy Krueger film, I want you to go to manscaped.com/Raiders. 20% off and free shipping on all your orders. Now, not only are we going to do 4 overreactions on the biggest stories after the Raiders' 20-9 loss to the Bears, I am also going to still try to find 5 winners in that game, and I'm only going to find 5 losers, though I could definitely found a lot more. The first story coming up here on today's show is around Gruden. And is it time for Gruden to give up play calling? If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I said, actually, I think Gruden is a good head coach. I think he's a good leader of men. However, he should be nowhere near a playbook whatsoever. If you continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, that is the literal definition of insanity. Gruden needs to be able to mix it up a little bit. This team has yet to score a touchdown in the first quarter of this season, and also 11 straight games where the Raiders have yet to score a touchdown on their opening drive. Whatever you're doing in the prep work from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it ain't working. And then as soon as this offense has to kind of start shooting from the hip a little bit, guess what? They start to succeed. I get that Gruden is old school, and I get that he wants to be able to set up the pass with a run, but your offensive line is not good enough for you then to be able to get into these good situations. If you run the ball in the first play, the second play, and then you're stuck there 3rd and 7, it makes it very difficult for the Raiders to actually be able to move the football. And the Bears were literally calling out the Raiders' plays this past week. If you don't believe me, go watch some of the highlights. They were literally sitting there saying, pointing it out, calling it out. If that's what's happening, guess what? You need to be able to mix something up, because I'm worried defenses are already figuring out what the Raiders are doing. And it's only week 5. So what I want you guys to do right now is go ahead and comment. And you know what? I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. So every single one of you MFers that come across this video, I want you to look down in the comments, because you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break, and let me know, should Jon Gruden give up play calling? Why for yes or and for no? Let's go to the second story here on the Raiders Report. And if you can't tell, I got a few things to say about Jon Gruden here. Gruden, is he on the hot seat? And we're like, oh my gosh, you're 3-0. You lose 2 games. Mitch, pump the brakes a little bit. I am actually, though, going to give this one 3 Chucky Heads, and I'm going to say he needs to have a fire lit under his you-know-what, because I understand that all the players said that the emails, but her emails, weren't a distraction. They had to be. And if they weren't a distraction, then you and your entire staff absolutely failed getting your team ready, going up a Bears team that defense has played a lot better. But I really think from top to bottom, the Raiders are a more talented team. And over the last 3 weeks, you barely beat a Dolphins team that looks like that they shouldn't even be on the same field as any NFL team. Yes, you beat the Steelers, okay, but then you absolutely got blown out against the Chargers, and now you just lost to the Chicago Bears. Plus, there's not too many coaches that get the amount of opportunities that Jon Gruden has gotten. I want you to think about this. Not only did they move him to a brand new city, to Las Vegas, which, let's face it, I actually really think a lot of players want to go ahead and play there. You were given 7 first-round draft picks. Can we sit here and say how many of those first-round draft picks we have a lot of confidence in? Simply not many. The Raiders have not drafted well. And then already this year, sure, Nate Hobbs has been an absolute steal. Malcolm Kuntz has been a healthy 3rd-round scratch. He's not even playing. Why? Because the Raiders aren't confident enough for him to be out there. Plus the free agency market. Go back and look at all the years since Gruden has gone ahead and taken over. Realistically, the free agent class has been pretty flippin' bad. So, okay, so you sucked in the draft. You haven't done well in free agency. So why would I go ahead and believe anything that you're going to do, Gruden? I'm sorry. It's really starting to get hard to sit here and tell people, you know what? It's a rebuild. It's going to be okay. The other reason why I do honestly think that Gruden is going to be put on the hot seat, because I honestly do think that he is a man of his word, and he would really stick to what he said. Well, as soon as Jon Gruden signed that 10-year, $100 million contract. And Gruden, he's literally one of the biggest reasons why I hate guaranteed deals. Imagine showing up to your job for 4 straight years and doing okay in the beginning, but when it really comes down to getting down to it, you can't get it done. Jon Gruden literally said, if I can't get it done, I'm not going to take their money. Well, here's the best part. After 2021, Gruden still has 6 years and $60 million left. If the Raiders, after going 3-0, if they do not make the playoffs, and sure, it's an early collapse, but you collapsed in 2019, you collapsed in 2020, and if you collapse in 2021 with all the failures you've had in free agency, with all the extensions that haven't gone your way, and with all the draft picks that you've just let basically just washed up, guess what? It's time to move on from Jon Gruden. Now, how about this, y'all? I want you to give me a number. For those of you that are newer to the show, I want you to let me know how many Chucky Heads on Jon Gruden being on the hot seat. It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're new to the show, we're getting new 1,000 subscribers literally almost every single week. This is what I mean by that. If you're going to give it 0 Chucky Heads, it means that you don't think that he's actually on the hot seat. 1 Chucky Head means that, hey, it is a small bit of truth here. I went ahead and I gave it 3, which means I do think that it's pretty likely that Jon Gruden should be on the hot seat. If you're like, Mitch, this guy needs to be fired tomorrow, go ahead and type 4 for Believe It Baby. Now, if your Chucky Head isn't looking A-okay, then you know what you need to do? You need to go ahead and get some Manscaped products here. Now, I'm not just saying this because obviously I use Manscaped, but seriously, if you go to manscaped.com/Raiders, you guys are going to be unbelievably surprised by how well these products work. And one of my favorite things about these guys, some of their proceeds go to also help cancer research, especially for balls. Like, their slogan is, your balls will thank you. Not only are your balls going to thank you, but there's going to be other people's balls that thank you as well. So if you don't want to just help out yourself, help out other people as well. Now, usually it's $100.99 if you guys want to go ahead and get the perfect package, but we can cut that down for you to $87.99. And for whatever reason, you can't remember manscaped.com/Raiders, I will put it in the comments. I will put it in the description. I would say out of all the products that I put here on the Raiders Report, these are usually my favorites personally. If you have already bought something, hey, send me a picture of you. Actually, don't send me a picture of you using it. Send me a picture of like the lawnmower or like the actual perfect package. Hit me up. I'd appreciate it. Let's go to the next story here. It's around Derek Carr. The Raiders should not extend DC. I thought it was kind of weird timing because right before the Week 5 game, report comes out. Derek Carr will not talk about a contract extension until the end of the season. So in terms of extend Carr, I am going to give it only 2 Chucky Heads, and I'm going to say people are talking, and it really comes down to this. If the Raiders go to the playoffs, you extend Derek Carr. And I get it. He's got only 1 year left on his deal. He's going to be making $19 million next year. No dead money, so if the Raiders want to cut him, they can go ahead and do that. But I don't really think Derek has been the problem of why they have lost games. Now, I will also go ahead and say I don't know if he's been the absolute solution the last 2 weeks because you can really see that he's getting happy feet. Now, I'm always going to point the finger at the offensive line because they were bad. I'm also going to point the finger at the receivers because they were also bad. However, we've been doing the same song and dance here on this show for basically 3 years now, and I'm going to ask you again. Do you think that the Raiders should extend Derek Carr? I want you to go ahead and type E for extend, or I want you to go ahead and type P for pass. And honestly, y'all, I'm about to give you a reason for both of these answers because I honestly think that both of these answers can be right. If you are going to type that E for extend, if you make the playoffs, the answer is yes. You 100% go ahead and extend a guy who has already come out and said that he would rather retire than play for another NFL team. Those are the type of guys that I want in my locker room. Those are the type of guys that I want to go ahead and extend, and I want to end up building my team around. Here's the other thing, though. Everyone out there that's like, oh, he's going to take a team-friendly deal. You know, you're probably right, and if you can get Carr for $30 million a year, that's actually probably a pretty team-friendly deal. If you think that he's going to do anything under $25 million, I'm sorry, you're crazy. Realistically, if his agent was doing a good job, he could probably get 35, and if they do make the playoffs, and if he is an MVP contender, that 35 goes up to a $40 million a year. But he's going to make at least $30 million. But here's the other side of this. If we're going to sit here and say, no, you can't extend Derek Carr, then Jon Gruden's got to go too. Because there is a 0% chance that I want Jon Gruden, Mike Mayock, and the rest of that coaching staff, realistically minus Gus Bradley, to make a decision on who is going to be the quarterback of this franchise because I'm sorry, You don't deserve to be able to pick who's going to be the next face of this Las Vegas Raiders franchise. So for everyone out there that says, hey, Derek Carr's got to go, you better say the exact same damn thing about Jon Gruden, because they have yet to earn the ability to say, you know what, we want this guy to come in. If you're getting rid of Carr, get rid of Jon Gruden too. What about this, the last story here? Do the Raiders have the worst offensive line in football? Before I tell you how many Chucky Heads this one is, I want you guys to go down in the comments. It's a 1 for yes or it's a 2 for no. After 5 weeks of football, do the Raiders have the worst offensive line? Drum roll, please. Da-da-da-da. Yes, they damn right they do. I mean, this team, no matter who you put out there right now, it's just an absolute horror film. The Raiders, they can't run block. They can't pass block, though. I will say this past week, I actually thought they had their best performance than they had the entire year. The Raiders right now are on track to give up 51 sacks. 51 sacks. Right now, Derek Carr has never been pressured more this year than anything. I know we talk about Alex Leatherwood a lot, but I'm going to sit here and say I think Andre James is the biggest reason why the offensive line struggled. Plus, penalties are just absolutely, and I mean absolutely, killing this team. So I thought it would be kind of fun if I was like, all right, who are the 5 worst offensive lines in all of football? The Miami Dolphins, who the Raiders played and they beat. At number 30, I'm going to throw the Chicago Bears in there, who the Raiders just played. The New York Giants at number 29, and then at 28, I have the Tennessee Titans. But you literally invested all your money in everywhere else, and you tried to do patchwork on the O-line, and now it's starting to come in and bite you in the butt. So what about some of these PFF grades, though, up against Chicago? Colt Miller, 65.5. John Simpson, 48.8, so he actually played better. Andre James coming off his best game of his entire career with a 58.2. I was impressed by Alex Leatherwood. I actually don't agree with this grade here from PFF. I thought he played a lot better. And then Brandon Parker. What's kind of funny about this is this. The first 4 weeks of the season, Alex Leatherwood was the worst graded right tackle according to PFF, so they kick him into right guard. The guy that they start at right tackle, Brandon Parker, guess what? He is now the new worst right tackle in all of football according to PFF. But maybe some good news here. Maybe, right? Like, fingers crossed, Richie Incognito is eligible to come off IR this week up against the Broncos. Now, originally, when Incognito went down with that calf injury and they put him on IR, I was like, don't be surprised if they sit him out all the way until week 9 because the Raiders have that week 8 bye. But I don't know if there's ever been a point that the Raiders need Incognito more than what they do right now, because John Simpson can't get it done. I understand that they want to invest in Andre James, but maybe if you don't have confidence in Nick Barton, maybe you throw out the guy you drafted in the 7th round, Jimmy Morrissey, because the offensive line as it stands right now, it really can't get too much worse. Now, if you want to bet on the Raiders, if you want to go ahead and bet on any NFL game the entire year, there is one place to do it and one place only. That's at chatsports.com/Raiders. Promo code Raiders125 gets you 125% deposit bonus. If you want to go ahead and be a big baller, you can go ahead and put down $500. You're going to get $625 for free to bet with. If you just want to put down $100, you get $125 for free to bet with. This past week, I went 3-2 with my bets, which is an okay week. And realistically, if you go 3-2, you're going to make money. But if for whatever reason, let's just say you missed last week, that 125% deposit bonus, it's really going to help you out. So again, y'all, it's chatsports.com/Raiders, promo code Raiders125. So coming up right now here on the Raiders Report, I'm going to give you guys my 5 biggest winners and my 5 biggest losers up against the Chicago Bears. It was kind of difficult finding winners, it really was, but I always try to stay a little bit positive here. I was just so mentally and emotionally upset after that performance. But let's get into the top 5 winners here. At number 5, I'm going to go with Johnathan Abram, and I love the energy that Abram was bringing on the defensive side of the football. He was flying all over the field. He got a lot of pressure on Justin Fields early on, and I really thought, had one of the better games of his career. Let's go to number 4. He's literally been a winner every single week that I've done this show, and it's Casey Hayward. He's proven to me right now that he is a top 5, if not one of the best cornerbacks in the entire league. Nobody's really getting too many catches on him. People aren't even throwing near him, which I don't blame him, but this guy's been an absolute monster. Number 3, I'm going to give some love to Alex Leatherwood, because even though I don't 100% agree with the 50 overall grade by PFF, I actually thought Leatherwood played pretty well. And you're seeing a lot of these guards, John Simpson included, they're trying to make up for Andre James's limitations. And for his first game in the NFL, going to right guard, If you can't clearly see that Leatherwood and his footwork and his run blocking ability is made for him more to be a guard than a tackle, then you really need to wake up. But I definitely do want to give some love to Leatherwood because I was impressed by his first game against a very good Bears defense. Let's go to number 2, Yannick Ngakoue. His ability to be able to get pressure was impressive. Kind of sounds weird, but I'm going with it. 2 sacks in this one. Maybe he also uses some manscape. Now, the biggest winner up against the Bears, this Raiders defense. The Raiders defense is better than the Raiders offense. And it sounds kind of crazy to say, but the work that Gus Bradley has done with this unit, I mean, let's face it, if the Raiders defense was as bad as it was last year, they would have lost this Bears game probably 43-9 or something even worse. This Raiders defense, though, is a top 10 unit. Now, what do you guys think here? Who was the Raiders' biggest winner up against the Bears? If you want to go ahead and throw that D in the comments, shout out to Manscaped, you go ahead and do it. I mean, the defense, in my personal opinion, was by far the biggest winner. If you want to give some love to another guy, please go ahead and do so. With winners, guess what? You're also going to have some losers, and there were plenty of them here. At number 5, Brandon Parker. All week, move Leatherwood, move Leatherwood. Brandon Parker could do better. Brandon Parker didn't do better. He had 2 bad penalties. He gave up 2 bad sacks, and sure, he's going up against Khalil Mack, but Parker was bad in this game, and they need to be able to find a right tackle. Can you please go out and sign somebody on the free agent market? Number 4 here, I'm going to put all the ball catchers, whether it was Darren Waller, whether it was Hunter Renfrow, Brian Edwards couldn't catch a freaking cold. You really, really let down a struggling quarterback in Derek Carr, who actually is going to be number 3 here on my list. You can say what you want about DC. Was it 100% on him why they lost this game? No. Was it 50%? I don't even think. The offensive line is bad. The pass catchers let you down. But you know what? There was 2 or 3 balls in that game. The one near the end, the Brian Edwards, that you just totally overthrew. And I know a lot of people got mad at Joey Bosa for saying Carr got happy feet. Carr's got happy feet right now. Number 2, the Raiders' offensive line. It can't block, it can't run block, it can't pass block. The amount of penalties, this team continues to be able to shoot themselves in the foot. It's really disappointing considering the fact that you can see that how much talent this team has, but if you can't block, if you can't win the battle in the trenches, doesn't really matter. The biggest loser in this game is Jon Gruden for not having his team ready to go, for not having his team ready to play 5 straight weeks and coming out absolutely flat-footed yet again in a first quarter, yet again in a first half. John, you better mix it up real quick, especially if you want to stick around in L.A., because if I keep seeing, I should say Vegas, if you want to stick around in Vegas, you got to start doing some different stuff, man. So let me know, y'all, who was the Raiders' biggest loser up against Chicago? I anticipate seeing a lot of Grudens. I anticipate seeing a lot of Derek Carrs, and I definitely anticipate seeing a lot of some offensive lines.